Welcome to Your Bookkeeping Matters. I'm Lisa Turner, bringing you short and snackable weekly episodes on bookkeeping and business matters in an easy to understand way so you can be in control and confident that you know your bookkeeping matters. Let's dive into this week's episode. Happy Wednesday, friend, or Friday, or any day you're listening to this down the track. But at the time of this episode dropping, it's Wednesday. I release fresh episodes every Wednesday, and at the moment, it's July, the first month of the financial year here in Australia. Why is this an important thing to mention today? Because it's what has prompted today's topic of simplifying your business systems in the new financial year. It's a common time for business owners, myself included, where we are reviewing what we're doing and planning for the year ahead and making changes to what we're doing to reach our goals. Honestly though, any time of year is perfect for reviewing your systems and how you keep the back end and the client front end ticking along nicely. You should review it regularly. Now, if you haven't lately, let's dive into this week's super short and snackable episode and do it now. So, what am I talking about when I say let's simplify your business systems? I'm talking about all the systems you use to get your job done and your product or service out to your wonderful clients and customers. The systems covering the financy things, covering your marketing, your client engagement or connection on all fronts, your production, your website, all those kind of things. These are all looked after by a system and workflows you have in place, hopefully. Now, what I find happens is that we get too busy down in the details. We don't step back as often as we should and take a look overall how these processes and systems are going. And when we implement things and patches throughout the year, they might not necessarily have been the most efficient solution, but they plugged a hole at the point in time that you set it up. Or sometimes you love new things and you set up a system because it was new and you don't actually need it or use it as much as you thought you might have. So we oftentimes get a little bit system or software top heavy, and it's time to simplify it and streamline it. What steps can you easily follow to review yours and simplify things? Well, before we start, you need to be thinking, what's the easiest way to get something done in your business? I'm not meaning everything is easy and we're trying to get stuff done quickly and move on. I genuinely mean what's the easiest way to get from A to B. Let's not overcomplicate it and do things to fill your day. Every time you want to implement or change something, you want the easiest, smoothest way. Now that you're thinking in that mindset, the first step you can go through is to note down all your workflows and processes and procedures and group them into areas we touched on. That's your marketing, engagement, production, finance, all the other areas. Now look through them for any areas that you can stop doing because it doesn't actually need to be done. Or is there any room for automation to speed things up, have them done automatically instead of you following a manual process? Is there any double handling that you can eliminate, like you having to rework things at certain points in the workflow or the processes that you're following? Now, one of my favorite parts when you're going through looking at what you're doing is a software review. You can almost always reduce your software subscriptions cost every single time you review them. For example, can you replace 5 software subscriptions with one bigger and more expensive one? But it actually saves you time and money because it's all in the one place. So you might feel like it's a really expensive software, but when you add up the 5 separate ones that you're paying for, the total cost of those 5 cost more than the one that you thought was really expensive. Because people often think the software with all the bells and whistles is too expensive and they don't need it, but you end up using the 5 or the 7 others, quickly adding up to way more. And I've got my hand up here because I've done this myself a few times, but because I review my systems and processes regularly, I learn quickly from those mistakes and I'm getting better, I like to think so, at skipping those mistakes. One example of that is I used to use 3 different software subscriptions plus a manual process to quote, onboard, and look after signed authorities and documents we need regularly from our clients. I was thinking, I don't need the fancy software. But after one review, when all those systems were in place back a while ago, the time saving alone moving to the one bigger software, I wish I had done it so much sooner. Now when I'm looking for things to implement, when I need a new process or something changes, I generally go for the what will I need in 6 to 12 months' time, not the short-term cheaper option. And what's a better client experience? So that I'm thinking of the easiest and best way and what's going to work better in the long term for me. You also want to remove any complexity. I'm a huge fan for not doing things because it's the way it's always been done. Is it actually adding value to what you're doing or trying to achieve? Is there a reason you're doing the thing? These are some questions I want you to ask yourself while you're reviewing all these processes and systems that you've written down. For example, when we take on a new client and the previous bookkeeper had things happening a certain way, I never go, okay, we'll keep doing the same. Never. I always do a full system and software health check. I ask questions. I look at all the bits and pieces of financial information coming together and ask myself and the client, is this the best way it can be done to provide the most insight and financial support to the client? What are you wanting to see? What are you wanting to happen? Sometimes, yes, the existing process is the best way to do it, but lots of times, no. But I always review it in case we can improve things, streamline things. Like I review my own processes and like you should, I like to simplify things for our clients. It really is something that I am against, doing things because they've always been done that way. Now you've had a look overall at your current systems and your software, and you're thinking about what do you actually need to keep doing. Map out your ideal processes. What can you change and implement to get in place to get the ideal processes going either straight away or gradually if there's a few things that you need to change or there's some big changes. There are so many options, software tools, platforms, workflow templates. Again, though, this is where you could end up overcomplicating. So be careful and choose the ones that get the best result, the easiest and the smoothest way. Take bookkeeping as an example. You don't want to track your expenses in a spreadsheet, raise your invoices to customers in a Word document, and create your BAS in accounting software by having to duplicate all the numbers again into that accounting software. Save yourself the hassle and do all the financy things together in your one accounting software package. Okay, so we've changed our mindset on how we do things. Let's do things on the easiest path. We've put together a list of our processes and systems and then reviewed our software subscriptions, of course. We've looked for areas that we can ditch or automate, and we've put together our perfect ideal systems and some ways to get there and implement them and get to that point. One last thing. I'm hoping you are not wearing all of those hats yourself, doing all those things in all those areas and all those systems and processes. Is there any overflow? Any areas you would love someone else to take care of? I'm talking about outsourcing or handing over to your employees. A huge part of simplifying and reviewing your processes is who is doing what. Are you actually making your own processes difficult because you are doing them and you shouldn't be? It's all part of learning and growing your business, working smarter, using your resources and skills the right way. I've got several episodes on the show on outsourcing, should you outsource or DIY your books, and how to outsource to get out of your own way. Two springing to mind now on outsourcing to help you with that topic. But the key takeaway from today's snackable matter is simplifying your business systems. It should always be your goal and something you review regularly and keep in mind. And there is no better time than now, the start of a new financial year. Streamlining your processing, optimizing your technology and the time you spend, getting clear on your customer engagement and interactions so they have an easy and memorable experience with you, which was simple for them. It wasn't a complicated process. You've probably heard of continuous improvement teams or continuous improvement employees in big businesses, and they're there for a good reason, to keep the focus on always enhancing systems, simplifying them, adapting to new and better processes. So if you do the same in your business on a smaller scale or however it looks for you, you'll grow to love the power of simplicity and how it helps you grow and thrive. Thank you for popping me in your ears this week. If you're keen to nut out your systems, you can dive over and check out my blog. It's time to simplify your business systems to help you really nail this. And if implementing accounting software is one of the things you end up doing from listening to this episode, you can watch my training video on setting up Xero in my online digital shop, which I'll link in the show notes for you. If you found this episode helpful, I would love it if you could please leave me a review on your favorite platform. I've been getting some beautiful reviews emailed to me. Thank you so much. I personally read and respond to each and every one, and it makes me so happy to hear how much you're loving the episodes. I will catch you in next week's fresh new episode on Your Bookkeeping Matters.